to Everyday Garage. We're just looking at a Mercedes GLA today. I've already run the diagnostic test on this vehicle. I've got a blocked DPF, which is quite bad. I'm showing in live data 70 millibars of back pressure at idle, so that's pretty blocked up on this one. I'm already into the job. I looked under the bonnet. I also have a flow rate. Quick look here. So the high pressure EGR is showing a low flow rate. So when I've looked under the bonnet, I've noted that this on the EGR cooler bypass is broken. This flap here was stuck. Since I've been moving it backwards and forwards, it's actually free now. We're going to get this all off the vehicle and inspect it, see if we've got carbon deposits in there, and sort of go from there really. Once this is all done and we're satisfied with the engine condition, we're going to service the engine and that as well. We're going to see if we can get the DPF cleaned through on vehicle, see how we get on. Okay, we've got EGR valve and cooler off and EGR bypass all sitting on the bench ready for stripping. Not really a lot to see. Got the EGR cooler here, the bypass valve here, which is vacuum operated, so that will go off to a solenoid controlled by the PCM. Got our EGR valve there, high pressure. So we'll get these stripped down and see what we've got. See if we've got big carbon build up in here. Have we got carbon build up inside our EGR cooler? And what does our EGR valve itself actually look like? So we'll get this stripped down and have a look. Okay, so I've just removed the EGR cooler from the bypass valve, and you'll be able to see from that it's literally block solid with carbon build up and deposits. I'm not even going to try and clean that through or anything. That's just going to, we're going to get a new cooler for that. So that's going to be the first component to get replaced out of this lot. If we can look into this now, so the EGR cooler bypass valve, we can get a light in there. Okay, you can see the amount of carbon build up in there as well. My guesses would be that the little door in, oops, we can just see that there, the door inside there has probably got stuck. And it was stuck when I first got to the vehicle as well, which has in turn broken the plastic arm on the actuator. So I think we're going to go for a new one of those as well. I'm just going to strip the bypass valve from the main body of the EGR so we can have a look at the EGR valve as well. Okay, the EGR assembly is now stripped into all of its bits. High pressure EGR valve has got carbon deposits in and around the two plates, but it's not complaining of an EGR valve fault per se, or it's not complaining of an EGR valve fault, it's a flow issue, and the flow issue will definitely be caused from this component being broken. So I'm going to clean this one. We're going to replace the bypass valve. That's quite badly carboned up inside. You can see, try to get onto that. So you can see the valve internally operating. Now I won't know until I've got a new one in my hands, but I can't close that door completely over on this side. I mean, it may be set up so it should have a certain amount of airflow. I'm just not sure without seeing what a new one looks like. So I'm going to get a new one and get that stuck on. We will marry that to our new EGR cooler, get it put back on the car, do the service on the engine, and then we can proceed with the DPF clean, see how we get on. Okay, new components have just turned up from Mercedes. Here's my EGR cooler, my EGR bypass valve, and EGR cooler sitting over there. The difference between the new, that's the old, and the new EGR cooler, that's night and day. You can see that's nice and shiny new, and that one, as we was looking at earlier, is just block solid. Also my EGR bypass valve, if we look at this, hopefully, yeah, we can see the actual bypass flap or door itself shuts right over, so there's no gap. That's got the ability to close. On the old unit, I couldn't push it across any further, the carbon was just jamming it up. So yeah, we'll get these components fitted up. Still got to clean the EGR valve, I'll do that. And then get the car built back together and continue what we're doing. Okay, I'm back on the GLA this morning. The engine work's all been done and carried out and it's all good. I was showing 70 millibars of back pressure in my live data. I'm just having a look at this on the manometer now to see exactly what we're getting. And it's been a bit more than I was expecting, to be honest. Let's have a quick look. There I'm showing 200 millibars nearly of back pressure at idle. I mean, this is probably going to be too much really for an on-car clean, but I've got some new fluid to try. I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. That DPF is blocked properly. Like I say, the live data reading is only showing about 70 millibars. I have got another DPF pressure sensor to try on the car once we're finished. I'm going to try the on-car cleaning process, but with a view that we may need to remove this and get it professionally cleaned. But we'll see how we get on. Okay, for DPF clean on this GLA, we're going to use the Wepp DPF Direct Cleaner. Got this from BG Products. It's got its work cut out on this one, so we'll see how it gets on, see if we can get that back pressure reading down. I'm going to dispense it into with this DPF gun. It's a new one we just bought actually on launch. The old one we had, that was broken a few weeks back, so yeah, we get to try that as well. Yeah, so we'll get this stuck in the gun, and then we'll use this tube here to get it into the DPF pressure sensor. So where the DPF pressure sensor was, we'll stick this down the pipe and then dispense the fluid into the vehicle. Okay, so we're connected in there to the DPF pressure sensor line. The DPF gun's connected to the compressor, so I'm just going to get that stuck in, leave it for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then get the car started up and see if the DPF will start to clear. Right, we're just going to get the GLA started up. The fluid's been sitting there about 20-25 minutes, so we're going to get it started, see how much of this we can get cleared through, and see if we can get the pressure down to a point where I can get this out for a road test.
As we can see now, the DPF clean is really starting to take shape now. However, the pressures are still quite high, but it looks like we're actually getting some cleaning happening. So we'll just carry on and see what happens. Okay, I think we'll just pause the video for a minute. We don't want to watch this as fairly mundane. We shall come back to you with an update.
Just double checking on my pressure readings now. I'm down from 200 millibars, so we can focus in there. There we go. Down to about 50 millibars at the moment, so I'm just going to run this through a little bit more, see if we can get that to come down a little bit more than that. Okay, so we've got the DPF pressure down on this now, down to about 40 millibars, which is still too high. That wouldn't be satisfactory at that. But what I want to do is get this out for road test and get the rest of this exhaust cleared through and see what sort of pressure we're back to once we come back. Obviously, while I've been doing this, I've got my mass airflow meter disconnected because on this you've got low pressure EGR, and I don't want any of that smoke and stuff being recirculated back through the system. So if by disconnecting this should, and it does on most vehicles, this will park your EGR valves. So I'm going to get that sucked back on, clear my fault codes. I'm going to carry out some resets here as well, fit my new DPF pressure sensor, get this out on road test and see if the pressures come down any lower. It may be a case we need to do another shot of cleaning fluid through this one because it was so badly blocked. I'll know more after the road test, see how we get on. Okay, just back from road test in the GLA. As you can see there, I've got a new differential pressure sensor fitted. That's now down to 10 millibars, which I'm happy with. And I'll bring the revs up. And we're sitting now at, let's have a look, 2,500 RPM, just touching 40 millibars. It doesn't get much better than that. So yeah, it needed a longer road test than I would have expected. But yeah, no, I'm happy with that. The temperatures have been doing what they should do. We carried out a regen during that period. Yeah, I'm happy with it. This should be good to give back to the customer. Okay, all I need to do now after that road test though is just make sure we haven't accrued any more fault codes in the system. I'm hoping this is going to be clear. There we go, no fault codes. So no faults in the system, low back pressure from the DPF pressure sensor. All the work that's required under the bonnet's been done, completed, and the car drives well now as well. I was happy the way it drives, so this is good job done. Well, I've just come to the end of the job on the GLA. This Wepp fluid that we got from BG Products seems to have done the job on this particular car. I've been pretty pleased with it. It's the first time I've used it. So obviously you're always dubious when you're using a new product, but it's done everything. It's done the task. Obviously we've had to deal with some issues with the vehicle first. The DPF being blocked is the problem, but it's not the cause of the problem. So we had a bypass valve that was broken on this one, causing bad EGR flow. We've also had to service the engine as well. If we hadn't done them bits, you're just going to have a DPF that's going to keep on blocking. This car should just be good now. So yeah, the new fluid that we're using, we'll probably continue on with this, get a few more cars done, get a bit more confidence with the stuff. But yeah, the first car, badly blocked DPF, and we've cleared it.